We've added a brand new dungeon to Minecraft, the Temple of Duality. It's packed with new blocks, items, mobs, and a boss fight unlike anything you've seen before. With this second dungeon, the dungeon now loading is now 2% loaded. To find the Temple of Duality, you'll first need to locate the Jungle Temple. Inside, there's a 50% chance you'll discover an exploration map leading to the nearest Temple of Duality. Since both structures generate in jungle biomes, there's a good chance it'll be close by. When you reach the marked spot on your map, you'll find a massive temple overgrown with moss and leaves. There's a staircase leading to the main entrance, but if it's blocked by trees or terrain, you can always drop in through a hole at the top of the structure. The first thing you'll see when entering the Temple of Duality is an area surrounded by glowing red particles. This zone introduces the dungeon's core mechanic. The red aura marks what's called the Fairkeeper boundary, and it's centered around a mysterious wooden chest, the Fairkeeper chest, which resembles a slumbering eye. This chest rewards players who prove their wisdom or combat skill. If you place or break a block inside a boundary, the Fairkeeper chest shoots a red beam towards that block, a sign that you've triggered something ominous. It then sends beams to nearby Fairkeeper spawners, causing them to break open and unleash waves of random enemies. While enemies are present, the chest locks itself and breaking it won't drop any loot. To avoid triggering the spawners, you'll need to solve the redstone puzzle without placing or breaking any blocks. If you succeed and open the chest untouched, the spawners quietly deactivate and break on their own. Since the Temple of Duality is partly a redesign of the vanilla jungle temple, we chose to expand on its redstone puzzle. But here's the twist, this isn't a forced redstone puzzle. The dungeon is called the Temple of Duality for a reason. You can either solve the challenges through careful puzzle solving or embrace the chaos and fight your way through. Both paths reward you differently but also equally. Puzzle solvers will always earn at least one redstone chip, while those who fight will receive at least one redstone suppressor. Both are crucial crafting materials for the new redstone based weapons, but we'll cover those later. For now, let's move deeper into the temple. With the Fairkeeper mechanic introduced, the temple begins to open up, and so does its atmosphere. Two new ambient tracks accompany your exploration, Hike and Night Stride, both composed by Callister Corvus. Together, they shape the quiet moments between puzzles and combat, pulling you deeper into the Temple of Duality. After reaching the Fairkeeper chest, you'll find a staircase leading into an underground corridor. At the end of the hallway is a single button. Press it and the platform begins to descend, taking you to the next area, the greeting ground of the Fairkeepers. Floating at the center of this vast chamber is the Fairkeeper Serpent Caller, a mysterious stationary entity that watches silently from above. It cannot be destroyed by any means. If you interact with it, it will tell you it's waiting for the redstone idol, an item you'll need to uncover deeper within the temple. Besides the elevator that brought you here, there are 3 paths leading out of the room. 2 of them take you to chambers containing randomized Fairkeeper challenges. The third leads to another elevator that descends to the next level. The Temple of Duality is split into 3 levels, each one introducing tougher puzzles and stronger enemies, but also greater rewards. The first level of the Temple of Duality serves as an introduction to its core mechanics. One of the key components introduced in this level is the redstone lane. These special blocks function like redstone dust, but they can carry a signal up to 150 blocks, far beyond the normal range. Redstone lanes comes in 3 shapes, I, L, and T. They transmit redstone signals to their connected ends in the block directly above. They can be crafted using cobblestone and redstone dust, and are often used in puzzles and span multiple chambers. Another new component you'll encounter is the rotator pressure plate. When stepped on or hit by an arrow, it rotates the block directly beneath it 90 degrees and sends out a redstone pulse. It can rotate any block with a horizontal facing property, such as pistons, dispensers, and furnaces. If shot, it even launches the arrow straight upward, something you might need to use in certain puzzles. These components may seem simple at first, but don't get too comfortable. They're just the foundation for more complex setups in the deeper levels. In level 2, the difficulty ramps up. Puzzles become more intricate, and if you trigger combat, the enemies you face will be noticeably stronger. This is also where the dungeon begins introducing new traps and mechanics. including the first trap mob, the Scuttle. In some level 2 chambers, you might find a strange stone object that resembles a burnt out campfire. If you trigger the Fearkeeper chest, the campfire begins to stir. The stone splits, the mouth cracks open, and suddenly it's alive. This is the Scuttle, a trap mob hidden in plain sight. When you approach, it opens its mouth and emits a ring of fire, dealing 15 damage and setting you on fire for 5 seconds. When its mouth is closed, it's shielded by 20 armor points and can deflect arrows, making ranged attacks ineffective. You'll need to timer attacks when its mouth is open, or bypass its defense with splash potions. Bringing fire resistance is highly recommended. If defeated, it drops 5 to 10 charcoal, 8 to 16 redstone, and 1 to 5 cobblestone. And if you want to bring one home, you can break the dormant statue directly. Just make sure you're using Silk Touch or it will awaken the moment it's disturbed. Level 2 also introduces new redstone interacting blocks, starting with the stone notch. This decorative looking block has a recessed slot in the center, where you can insert any vanilla gem or ingot. But this isn't just for show. When connected to a comparator, the stone notch outputs a redstone signal based on the item inside. The rarer the material, the stronger the signal. For example, a netherite ingot emits the full 15 signal strength, while something like iron gives a lower value. You can retrieve the inserted item by right-clicking with an empty hand, or by powering the notch with redstone. It ejects the item in a direction that isn't blocked by a neighboring block. The stone notch can be crafted using 8 stone bricks, and while it looks great as a decoration, it plays a key role in many redstone-based puzzles in the temple. The next block is the signal gate, a compact logic component that filters redstone signals based on exact strength. It has one input and one output. The face of the block accepts a redstone signal to be evaluated, while the back emits power if the input strength matches the number displayed on top. So, if a signal gate shows a value of 5, it will only output a redstone signal if it receives exactly 5 signal strength from the front. You can craft it using 5 cobblestone, 1 redstone dust, 1 redstone torch, and 2 comparators. It's often used behind the scenes in puzzles to validate precise configurations, especially when using alongside a stone notch. That wraps up level 2. Let's head deeper into the temple and see what awaits in level 3. Welcome to the final and most dangerous floor of the Temple of Duality. By this point, the dungeon has tested your combat skills and your understanding of redstone, but level 3 raises the stakes even further. With harder puzzles, deadlier traps, and it introduces one of the most dangerous mobs we've ever added, the Ballista Golem. The Ballista Golem is another trap mob activated the same way as the Scuttle. Unlike Scuttle, it begins as a massive 3x3x3 stone statue, and when activated, it unfolds in place, extending its legs and setting up a heavy cannon that fires explosive ballista arrows. Each arrow explodes on impact with a strength of 4, making it even more destructive than a creeper. The golem itself is built like a fortress, with 15 armor points, full knockback resistance, and an arrow immunity. It's the most durable and dangerous non-boss enemy in the dungeon. Fortunately, it has one weakness. After firing 6 arrows, it enters a reload phase, locking in place for several seconds. That's your window to strike. When defeated, it drops 16 to 32 arrows, 16 to 32 redstone, and 3 to 27 cobblestone. Like the Scuttle, it can be collected in its dormant form. Level 3 puzzles also introduces a deadly new component, the overcharged redstone block. At first glance, it looks like a standard redstone block, but its behavior is anything but normal. Redstone dust catches fire and burns along every connected segment. Repeaters, comparators, and powered rails explode with low strength. Pistons, droppers, and dispensers explode with even more force. And if you power TNT, that triggers a massive explosion with a strength of 6, stronger than a charged creeper. Even redstone lanes aren't safe. If powered by an overcharged redstone block, they become superheated. Any entity that walks across them takes 6 damage and is set on fire. Despite the risks, it's a powerful tool for puzzles, traps, and advanced contraptions, but crafting one is costly. You'll need 4 redstone blocks, 4 blaze powder, and redstone core, which itself requires 5 more redstone blocks. That's a total of 81 redstone dust just to make a single overcharged redstone block. Now that we've explored all 3 levels of the Temple of Duality, it's time to take a look at the items you'll be crafting with the materials you've collected. Most of the dungeon's weapons and tools are powered by redstone, and they're built around 2 key components, the redstone core and the redstone circuit. The redstone core is a higher tier tier redstone component that acts as a concentrated power source. It's crafted using 5 redstone blocks and 4 redstone suppressors, making it one of the most expensive items in the dungeon. The redstone circuit is a high tier redstone component used in crafting advanced tools with logic-based functionality. To craft one, you'll need 4 redstone chips, 1 redstone block, 2 redstone repeaters, 1 light pressure plate, and 1 heavy pressure plate. Neither item does anything on its own, but together they form the foundation for the most powerful redstone-based equipment in the Temple of Duality. The copper detonator is your first redstone-based weapon, a handheld device that lets you summon and control explosive copper minions. To craft it, you'll need 4 copper ingots, 1 copper rod, 1 stone button, and 1 redstone circuit. Once crafted, right-clicking the detonator consumes a copper block from your inventory and spawns a copper creep, a small creeper-like golem that runs toward nearby enemies. When a copper creep is within range, hold right-click to charge the detonator. Release it after the beep to trigger all your summoned copper creeps within a 32 block radius, causing them to explode. You can also sneak and right-click a copper creep to make it sit and wait, giving you full control over when and where it explodes. And if you want to keep one around, naming a copper creep with a name tag turns it into a passive companion. It won't attack or explode anymore, but it can still switch between follow and sit modes like usual. However, naming also unlocks a third option, wander mode. This mode is only available if the copper creep has been named, perfect for those who want their companion to feel alive without actually doing anything. While the copper detonator is all about going on the offensive, the next tool shifts the focus to defense, introducing the repulsor, a placeable redstone device that protects you from incoming projectiles. To craft it, you'll need 1 redstone core, 1 redstone circuit, 2 copper rods, 2 copper ingots, and 2 copper blocks. Right-click any block surface to deploy the repulsor. It unfolds, activates, and starts spinning its antenna, and once it does, it begins zapping any moving projectile within a 5 block radius. Tridents are the exception. They get deflected instead of being destroyed. The repulsor starts with 100 durability, and each projectile it zaps drains durability based on how dangerous it is. Harmless projectiles like snowballs and eggs take away just 1 durability. Standard threats like arrows cost 5, and powerful shots like gas fireball or a ballistic golem arrow will drain 20. You can gauge how much durability is left by listening to the repulsor's beeping and watching its flickering light. Faster they go, the closer it is to breaking. To check the exact number, you can punch the repulsor to pick it up, and if it's glowing low, just right click it with redstone dust. Each one restores 5 durability, but if the durability hits 0, the repulsor breaks permanently. The final item you can craft with these materials is the redstone idol, the boss summoning item for this dungeon. To craft it, you'll need 2 redstone cores, 2 redstone circuits, and 5 redstone blocks. Once you have the idol, it's time to return to the breeding ground of the Fairkeepers. There, simply right-click the redstone idol to begin the final encounter of the Temple of Duality. Meet the Fairkeepers, Oris and Boris. With epic boss music composed by Callister Corvus, the Battle of Duality begins. This time, you're not fighting just one boss, but 2. Oris slithers silently across the ceiling while Boris charges on the ground. Their attacks are designed to complement each other. In phase 1, they take turns attacking, never striking at the same time, giving just enough breathing room to learn their patterns. Boris is the frontliner attacker, keeping pressure on the player at all times. One of his most frequent moves is Tackle. He slithers forward slowly at first, then lunges in with a powerful bite that deals 30 damage. He can do this up to 3 times in a row if you don't reposition fast enough. If he's not going for a bite, he might open his mouth mid-charge and fire a massive arrow straight towards you. This move looks like a tackle at first, but instead of closing the distance, Boris attacks from range, and the arrow deals 20 damage and ignores gravity. Sometimes Boris will stretch into a long line through the center of the arena and begin shooting arrows from his body segments. The pattern isn't too complex, but standing in the wrong spot can be punishing. Despite his size, Boris isn't easy to hurt. His entire body is covered in stone armor that blocks all melee and ranged attacks. You can chip away the armor using an axe. Each segment has 50 HP, but that takes time. If you're brave, you can also wait until Boris opens his mouth during a bite or arrow shot. That's your only chance to hit his weak spot directly. While Boris assaults you from below, Oris supports from above. One of his main tools is the Vertex Orb, a glowing red projectile fired from a cannon that emerges when one of his segments opens up and locks onto the player. On impact, it creates a pulsing red zone that deals 20 damage per tick and applies slowness 3 for a second. The orb lingers for 15 seconds but it only has 5 HP. With a skilled shot, you can destroy it before it lands. Or if you deal more than 5 damage to the cannon segment before it fires, you can cancel the attack entirely. Auras can also drop vertex pillars from above. These heavy blocks land on the battlefield and connect to nearby pillars, creating red energy beams between them. Crossing a beam deals 6 damage and applies slowness 3. In phase 1, Auras usually places them around the edge of the arena, giving you room to dodge. You can destroy the pillars to disable the beam, or if you're quick, leap over it. And just to keep the pressure up, Auras occasionally drops Scuttle onto the battlefield, one for each player. When the combined health of Auras and Boris drops below 75%, the fight enters phase 2. From this point on, the bosses no longer wait their turn. They begin using their moves more frequently, even overlapping their attacks. Boris opens phase 2 with an upgraded version of Tackle. The bite damage hasn't changed, but now he leaves a Fury Trail that deals 20 damage and burns players for 5 seconds, just like the Scuttle. His mouth shot attack becomes more dangerous. Instead of a single arrow, he now fires 3 arrows at once, creating a wider threat zone that's harder to dodge. Boris's body-based arrow attack also evolved. In phase 2, he moves faster and forms both small and large circular patterns, forcing you to stay alert. One wrong step and you might find yourself surrounded by his segment and caught in a barrage of arrows. Auras gains a powerful new area denial tool, the Vertex Domain. This devastating attack is launched directly from his head, and unlike Vertex Orb, it cannot be cancelled before it fires. He launches a large glowing orb, described by one of our devs as a red Rasen Shuriken. It destroys every block in its path and explodes on impact. Once it lands, it creates a massive red field that zaps player for 12 damage per tick and inflicts slowness 3 for 5 seconds. The domain lingers for a full minute and has 100 HP, so if you want it gone, you'll need a lot of arrows. Once either Auras or Boris falls, the surviving boss enters phase 3, gaining new moves and becoming far more aggressive. The music shifts as well, layering in a unique overlay depending on which serpent remains. If Boris is left standing, he unleashes his most chaotic move yet. He begins charging after a player with increased speed, similar to the flame attack. But this time, instead of biting, he rapidly fires arrows in unpredictable patterns. If Auras is the survivor, he enters the frenzy. Up to 10 segments will open in rapid succession, each preparing to fire a Vertex Orb. It's possible to destroy the cannons before they shoot, but you'll need a quick reflexes and a sharp memory of which segments opened first. Pulling it off is tough, but incredibly satisfying. Once the final boss is defeated, the music fades and the serpent collar at the center of the arena erupts in a small explosion, marking the end of your battle and dropping your rewards. The exact loot depends on which boss you defeated last. Regardless of the outcome, you'll always receive the following common rewards: 8 to 16 diamonds and 15 great experience bottles, totaling to 1500 XP. If Boris was the last to fall, the serpent collar will drop 1 combustion cell, 4 to 6 redstone suppressors and a music disc, Clash of Duality Boris, which contains his phase 3 theme. If Auras was the final boss standing, you'll instead get 1 catalyzed redstone, 4 to 6 redstone chips and the corresponding disc, Clash of Duality Auras. The combustion cell, dropped when Boris is defeated last, is a boss crafting material used to forge one of 2 flame-based weapons, the Scorcher and the Soul Scorcher. The Scorcher is a handheld flamethrower that consumes coal or charcoal to emit a stream of fire. It deals 4 damage per tick and ignites the environment, making it excellent for both combat and destruction. It can be crafted using 1 combustion cell, 1 lever, 2 redstone suppressors, 1 fire charge, 2 cobblestone, and a blast furnace. However, there's a catch. If you hold down the triggers for more than 6 seconds, it overheats and enters an 8-second cooldown. If you release it early, it will naturally cool down on its own. The Soul Scorcher is a variant crafted by replacing the fire charge in the Scorcher recipe with the Soul Sand. This version emits blue soul flames that deal slightly more damage, 5 per tick, but doesn't ignite blocks. It's a preferred version for players who want to preserve their surrounding while still dishing out heavy fire damage. Just like the standard Scorcher, it can overheat and enter cooldown if overused. If you defeated Auras last, you'll receive a catalyzed redstone, a boss crafting material used to craft one of the dungeon's most strategic weapons, the Vertex Bow. The Vertex Bow is a unique redstone infused weapon designed for area control. It's crafted using 1 catalyzed redstone, 2 redstone chips, 2 sticks, 2 strings, and 1 redstone dust. When fully drawn, indicated by a special sound effect, it converts your arrow into a vertex arrow. When vertex arrow lands, it blossoms into a mechanical flower, revealing a red glowing core. If another vertex arrow lands within a 10 block radius, they form a glowing red beam between the 2 arrows. Any mob that walks through this beam takes damage and is affected with slowness 2 and unique debuff called vertex transmission, which deals 2 damage every half second. Here's where it gets interesting. An entity affected by the vertex transmission debuff becomes a node itself, forming new connections with up to 2 other arrows or affected mobs. That means more enemies you hit, the more webs of damage you create. If you shoot an enemy directly with a vertex arrow, they'll carry the effect for 6 seconds. Whether embedded in terrain or tethered to enemies, the vertex network can lock down an entire zone, making escape nearly impossible. Each vertex arrow despawns after 20 seconds, so you'll need to act quickly to capitalize on your setup. Last but not least, each boss drops a music disc featuring their version of the Fearkeeper theme, complete with their unique music overlay. And if you collect both discs, you can craft a third one, Pythonic Overdrive, a fully blended mix of both Oris and Boris's themes in one track. Now that we've covered the bosses, let's take a look at the new systems introduced in this update. First up is the multi-target system. Bosses now chooses their target dynamically based on 2 main factors: the total damage a player has dealt and how close they are to the boss. The boss usually focuses on the top damage dealer, but if 2 players are neck and neck, proximity becomes the deciding factor. There's also a small random factor baked in, so even if you're far away and haven't done much damage, you might still get targeted, just by bad luck. And it doesn't stop at players. Mobs that deal damage to the boss also get added to the pool. Want to watch 3 wardens team up against Boris? To balance boss aggression, we've also added an exhaustion system. Bosses build up exhaustion points as they use moves, especially the more powerful ones. Once their exhaustion reaches a certain threshold, they're forced into a short cooldown period where they stop attacking. The exhaustion cap scales with the number of players, so in multiplayer, bosses can go longer without tiring. But if a boss unleashes a high impact phase 3 move, they'll likely enter a brief recovery, giving you a window to strike. And finally, let's talk about those glowing blue auras you kept seeing during the boss fight. That's the work of the Preserver block, generating mending auras to protect the arena and keep it from falling apart. When a block within the Preserver block's range is destroyed, it's replaced with a mending aura block. This aura stores the original block's state and regenerates it after a few seconds. This only applies to blocks that were part of the dungeon's pre-generated structure. Anything placed by players in survival mode can still be broken. Blocks protected by the aura are immune to mining, explosions, and piston movement. It's our way of keeping the boss arena from being torn apart mid-fight, while also preventing cheesy exploits. Once the fight is over, all the Preserver blocks convert into chiseled stone bricks, and the arena becomes fully editable. Not every block is protected. Only structural shapes like full blocks, stairs, slabs, fences, walls, paths, and glass panes. The Preserver block focuses on preserving the core functionality of the arena, so decorative and functional blocks like crafting tables or furnaces aren't protected, even if they have a full block shape. Currently, this system is only used during the Fearkeeper boss fight, but we plan to reuse it in future dungeons where arena integrity is important. The Preserver system is just one of several new mechanics added in this update. A lot of time went into building the systems and tools that will power every dungeon to come. Now that those systems are in place, future dungeons won't take nearly as long, and we can keep pushing the quality even further. As part of the next step, we're hoping to grow our team, and for that, we're asking for your support. This update also marks a big milestone for us, the start of our very first early access period. Supporters on Patreons can play the Temple of Duality 1 month early. As a thank you, Patrons who join during this time will get a few fun cosmetic perks. One of those perks is the Copper Creep Butler skin, unlockable by right-clicking a cocoa bean with your copper detonator. If you become a Patreon during the early access period, this ability is permanently added to your account. It doesn't change gameplay, but it does give your Copper Creep a classy new look. You'll also get a Scuttle themed wallpaper illustrated by our amazing new concept artist, Eyve. And if you're supporting at the highest tier, your player head will be honored in the Chamber of Honor, a rare room with a 1% chance of appearing in level 3. All of these perks are exclusive to the early access window. Your support helps us keep working on Dungeon Now Loading full time and gives us the chance to bring more incredible artists and developers onto the team. But even if you can't support us financially, just liking the video and subscribing still makes a big difference. It boosts visibility, brings in new players, and keeps the project growing. And that's just about everything in the Temple of Duality update. Thank you so much for watching, and we hope you have an amazing time exploring the Temple of Duality.